Today is really juicy. We're going to look at strategies for conversion rate optimization. Hey boutique owner and other e-commerce friends, Angela here, CEO of Hot Mess Consulting. Today is really juicy. We're going to look at strategies for conversion rate optimization. Conversion rates can tell you a lot about your website and your customers, so don't ignore them. And of course, they affect your bottom line big time. PS in advance, if you want to make sure you never miss a thing we have to share, make sure you subscribe to our channel and hit the bell to be notified when we post new videos. So let's dive into why you aren't getting the conversion rate you want, which areas you should focus on for improvement, and way more juicy tips. Okay, so I am not going to lie, this is a really loaded topic. So there are some things that I'm not going to dive into as deeply as I could, because they really could be their very own video and blog. But I do want to really encourage you to ask any questions that you have down below, and that'll really help us figure out what to focus on in terms of diving in deeper too. But I am going to give you a lot of useful tips here. So, and these tips are going to be helpful whether you are needing to increase your conversion, well, just period, if you're needing to increase your conversion rate, whether it's super low now or it's decent, but you want to do better, because you can always do better, right? So, and as hopefully you know, conversion rate optimization is conversion rate is just the percentage of visitors to your site that actually make a purchase. In e-commerce anyway. Sometimes you may have different conversion goals, especially if you're a different type of business, but that's what we're going to be talking about here today. You want to remember that the average for e-commerce is only 1 to 4%. So you're having to get a lot of hits to your website to see those purchases. So you always want to keep that in mind too. And it's very easy in Shopify to see your conversion rate as well. If you've logged in and you go into analytics, of course, Google Analytics is another friend for you. So those are two places that you can, check up on your rates. So, reasons for not hitting your conversions goal. You could not have enough traffic, not have the right traffic. Therefore, they're not adding to cart, or they're adding to cart but not purchasing. Something is wrong with your site or your cart experience. And this could be something like truly wrong. I mean, I don't know if this has ever happened to you guys, but every once in a while, maybe you added a new app, or maybe the e-commerce platform that you're on made a change, and all of a sudden people literally can't check out. Like somewhere in the process it stops them, or they can't add something to cart. You always want to be double checking your website, and also you want to do this on mobile and desktop. So the first things that you want to look at if you are wanting to increase are your site speed. Now, I do want to encourage you not to worry excessively over the new number that Shopify is showing you, the Google page speed insight. That number is impossible to increase a good chunk, and most people's numbers are fairly low as a rule. What I would be more concerned with is just actually going to the site on your mobile, on your desktop, having a handful of friends do so as well, and making sure that it's not loading slow on anyone's devices. And by slow, I mean, yes, we're talking about seconds here, because that's how long you have before somebody bounces. So make sure your site is optimized for mobile. Again, this is why you always want to check things on mobile. Make sure that it looks the same or similar, and certainly functions the same. If you're on a great Shopify theme, this should not be an issue, but you just never know. So it's always good to double check. Make sure that your site is looking great and makes a great first impression. Again, this is where design and strong, powerful, cohesive, beautiful, if that's your brand, whatever your brand is, it could be sassy, it could, whatever it is, making sure that you hit that. And then make sure that you're giving your customers enough information to make a purchasing decision. So, I always recommend having right on your main menu and your footer menu a link to your exact shipping and return policies, and really lay it all out for them. Like, don't leave anything vague. Don't leave anything up in the air. So shipping, what are your shipping rates? Do you offer free shipping after a certain threshold? Do you, how long can they expect until you ship the item out? Things like that. And again, returns, make it easy. Give them a return form even on the site, so they know if they want to return, it's not going to be a hassle. And then ensure that the transaction is easy and as frictionless as possible. So test it out on mobile and desktop. Go to your homepage, flick around, make sure you can find what you're looking for, add something to cart, go to the actual checkout, like go almost all the way through and make sure nothing is in your way that's like not working at all, or it's just the least bit confusing. Like imagine that this was your grandmother that you're trying to help make a purchase. Because yeah, I know these days most of us are savvy, but honestly, there are so many that are not. So you just want to make it as easy as possible. So there's a few ways to track your conversions. So the easiest is always going to just be, right in your Shopify dashboard if you're on there. So on the left panel, you're going to see analytics, and the main analytics page is going to have your conversion rate right there. You can look at last week, last month, last year, depending on like how you want to set your goals and everything. This is a little bit about how to, check this out in Google Analytics. Now, Google Analytics lets you get a lot more specific. So what's cool is you can actually see different pages and what your conversion rate actually is for that page. So you can also create goals. This is a little tricky. Again, this really, really could be its own video. And if that's something that you guys want to learn more about, please let me know below so that my team and I know to make that a priority. But you're able to create goals in Google Analytics. And what a goal looks like in Google Analytics is it tracks. You're like, okay, this is the landing page that I want to focus on. And remember, well, I don't know in this video, but I've mentioned it before. A landing page is really any page that your customer could possibly land on. But that could be hundreds or even thousands, depending on how large your catalog is, because that's your home page, every collection page, every single product page. So you want to focus on where are people actually landing the most. You may have particular products. Maybe you had a Pinterest pin that went viral and this particular product page is getting a ton of hits. Well, focus on that particular page then, because that's where people are landing. So that could be the first step in a goal. It's basically like a little funnel that you can create. Like, okay, first they're going to do this. This is what I want them to do next. This is what I want them to do next. And obviously it would be, like hitting the page, adding to cart, hitting the checkout page, entering their payment information. So what's cool is in Google Analytics, you can actually build out that whole funnel, and then you can see where people are dropping off. And if you're like, okay, they're getting this far, but for some reason they're not entering their payment information. Why? What can you do? Are you only offering Shopify payments? What if you added PayPal and Sezzle? Will that help? What if you put a little note to make it clear that, their payment is secure? I mean, I don't know. That's just an example. If that's where you're getting stuck, that's the next thing for you to work on. The other thing you can do is use testing or an app to identify issues. So this means like working with someone who has specific experience in user experience testing. So it's kind of like going, picking a handful of ideal clients or customers and going through the website with them and seeing like what really matters to them or where they get tripped up or what stops them from purchasing. But you can also like Lucky Orange heat maps, for example, and there's other ways to do this. There's other heat maps that you can use, but that's one app right on Shopify where you can actually see recordings of people on your site so you can really see what's happening, where they're going, when they're leaving. It can just really help you to make decisions on what tweaks to make for your website. So homepage optimization. Just remember, design is everything. Also, what is the content on your homepage? Is it really clear where you want your customers to go, what you want them to do? Like if right on your homepage, you are trying to get them to do 10 million things, they're probably not going to do any of it. But if you're only trying to get them to do a couple of things, you have a better shot. Look at your navigation and menu structure. How is it laid out? Is it really easy to find what they're looking for? Or are they clicking through and seeing empty categories or outdated collections or collections with only a couple of items in them? I love categories and subcategories on a menu if it's necessary, if you have a large enough catalog. If you don't, then keep it a little bit more broad until as you grow, you can expand, right? But also on the flip side, if you have a really large catalog, don't just put tops, break it down so people can really find what they're looking for. Have a shop by size drop down menu. I have a whole other video on that. Again, all of these things are literally things I could go into depth on. So I just need some guidance from you as to what you would like us to dive deeper into. So comment below. So focus on what is above the fold on both desktop and mobile. So above the fold is just a term that means when someone hits your site or landing page, so any page, right? What do they see when they hit that page before they even scroll? Because in most cases, that's how long you have to lose someone, is if they aren't intrigued enough to scroll even a little bit, you're going to lose them. So whatever is right there in front of them is what's most important. So make it count. Don't have that be a logo that takes up so much room that that's all they see, for example. Make sure your contact information and again, policies are really, oh my gosh, I just got this new dog and we are still getting acquainted. He is such a love bug, but yeah, he doesn't seem to understand that I have work time. A clear and compelling about page. Actually, we just posted a blog about that one. It's just so important. Like, if someone does click, they want to know about you. They want to know why they should care. They want to know why they should shop with you and not the thousands and thousands and thousands of other options that they have, right? So, okay. Then you also want to optimize your product pages, especially if there's like a particular product, like I said, that you happen to get a lot of hits on. But otherwise, all of your product templates should generally be the same unless you're making a special one. So just make sure that your product pages are consistent and clear. Make sure you have great product descriptions. We have a whole blog about product descriptions too. Utilize white space. Just make everything easy to read on mobile and desktop. Use sections well. So as far as like pricing, color options, you can have a sizing chart. You can have reviews. Make sure, hold on one second. Oh my Lanta. Okay. Use high quality images, make sure that you take care that you're highlighting the products well, that you're showcasing, multiple angles of the product, things like that. Clear call to action. So this one, just make sure things like your add to cart button should be on top of anything else that you might have on that page, because otherwise it can get really buried. Obviously underneath that, all of these other things are still important, but have that button be on top. That's usually an option within your theme. And again, right from the product page, whether that's in the main menu or you can even link to it within the product description, a really easy way for them to see the returns policy and shipping policy. So optimize your checkout pages. So what assurances are you giving your customers that you're reliable, that they can trust you? Do you have your logo on your checkout page? Are you transparent about shipping like right away? Do you have, again, a link at the bottom that goes to your return policies and shipping policies? Is it really easy for them to find your coupon code section? If somebody has a coupon code and they get to that point in the process and they can't figure out how to enter that, that's a problem. There's actually other things that you can add on these pages using apps or coding development too, to kind of like get someone to, while they're on that page, feel comfortable enough to start putting in their information. So abandoned carts. Customers are most likely to return and check out after one of these amounts of time. So like either 1 hour or 10 hours. So this is why we recommend a series of abandoned cart retargeting efforts. And emails aren't the only option. There's emails, there's push notifications, there's text messages. Obviously, you're going to have some piece of information from your customer in order to even do these. Like, you can't email them if you don't have an email. So like one thing that I do on my boutique website is there's an app called Consistent Cart, and it actually allows you that when somebody to set it so that when someone adds something to their cart, it actually asks for their email right then. It just says, it's fairly harmless. It just says like, oh yeah, that's super cute. Like, enter your email and we'll start a cart for you. Now they can actually click out of it and not put it in, but it's just another chance to possibly get their email. But this is also a good example of something that's worth testing if you're getting a lot of traffic. Like, does this help or hurt you in the end? Because really, at the end of the day, that's what business is. It's constant tweaking to figure out what works for you and doing more of that, and what doesn't work for you and stopping that. So having them have to enter their email when they add something to cart, that could deter a lot of people. Like, a lot of people right there might just bounce and never come back. But then again, it also could help. So you want to see what this does for you and your business. But that's just an example. So, but anyway, in any case, make sure that you're trying your hardest to retarget them in whatever way makes the most sense for you. Um, so, yeah, consistent cart. I love that. Okay. So, just some bonus tips to think about is split testing. This is sort of what I was just talking about, but there are apps that you can use in order to play around with split testing. So, just as an example, um, you can test two different product pages. Say that you have a particular product that gets a ton of hits. So it's that one where the Pinterest pin went viral and it's just getting a ton of hits. You can literally create two different versions of that product page in which you have things in a different order. You're highlighting different things on one versus the other, and see like what does best. Now, the trick here is that you want to have the changes be small. So for example, if this was our example and you're doing two different product pages, you don't want them like to be totally different from the other, because then if one does better, you don't actually know why. It's better that you have like most of the page is the same except this part was different. Test that. This one did better. Okay, so now we know that part is going to stay. Now let's test another aspect. Although it depends on how quickly you need this information and how deep you want to go. You could just do two totally different pages, and whichever one works best, you just go with that. But you could also be more methodical about it so that you end up with the very best product page that you possibly can. Um, an Instagram feed is always fun on your homepage because it just adds that extra layer of, social relevance, and just it gives your website that appearance of being live. Add scarcity, either scarcity or urgency. Like, what can you do to get them to make a purchase right now, today, especially if it's their first time on your website. So, there's some cool apps that will add like a banner at the top that you can actually set sort of like a flash sale on, and it'll have a countdown, and it'll only show for someone the first time they ever see your website. And then once it counts down, it's gone. That user will never see it again. But in a month, when someone hits your website for the first time, they'll see it too. So, again, that one is a good way to try to get somebody to make a purchase the first time they hit your site. You can also do things like, doing some kind of an opt-in, whether it's emails or text or push notifications, and they get a discount immediately if they do those things. Or there's the sales pop. So the little notification that can pop up in the corner of your screen that says like so-and-so just purchased, so-and-so just added a cart. Again, just like that scarcity and urgency really goes a long way. And just any other, discounts that you can give someone in order to, especially like I said, if you're trying to get them to make that first purchase with you, or a first purchase in a long time, because it can kind of break that seal. And if they end up turning into a recurring customer, then it was worth it, right? And even if like you're not profiting a ton, think about the long term like effect of gaining new customers. So my final thoughts are: make sure your site is optimized for mobile. Make sure your product photography and descriptions are on point. Send follow-up emails, retargeting, and be a high-touch business. Talk to your followers everywhere that you can, as often as you can, because they also will not see everything that you post. So definitely don't worry about bombarding people. If they're bombarded, they're not your ideal customer. They're going to leave anyway. Don't worry about it. Do your thing. So, again, I know this was a ton of information coming at you, and I apologize that my dog was getting all rambunctious. Crazy thing. So, in order for him to get like two walks a day, I hired someone to do walks in the morning. But he comes back even more amped up for a while. Then he settles down. So like right now he's right around the corner from me here and he's just like laying there and he's fine. But it's like right after that walk for a period, he's like wild. So anyway, and this is not my first husky. I have had one before, so it'll all be fine. But just adjusting. Me and my other dog are adjusting. So anyway, okay, thank you for tuning in, and I hope that you have learned something valuable for your business. Okay, so I'll wrap it there on all things conversion rate optimization. And I hope this helps your rates. Let me know in the comments how this has helped you. And if you have any questions at all, please drop them below. We'd love to help. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit the bell to be notified if you always want to stay in the loop. And if there's anything specific you ever want us to cover or you want to know more about, let us know about that in the comments too. As always, I'm here for you to help you keep it real and succeed. I'm Angela. This is Hot Mess Consulting, and I'll catch you e-commerce superstars in my next video. Need more? Check out the blog at hotmessblog.com. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel too. Cheers!